Hello again, and welcome to the Mind Renovation Nation show brought to you by Red Maples. I am your host, Nathan Bush, and each show, we share with you real life lessons from our real estate experience. We invite industry experts, innovators, influencers to delve deep into the challenges and opportunities facing small multifamily real estate. This show helps you understand market research, setting up effective management systems, and ensuring you're maximizing returns while minimizing expenses. Together, we unlock the knowledge and the tools you need to truly compete and succeed. If you want more of these types of resources on a regular basis, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, or you can head over to www.nathanbushmba.com/subscribe. That's www.nathanbushmba.com/subscribe. And check out the other resources in the links below. So today, we're going to dive deep into this topic of misconceptions real estate investors have that frighten me as a property manager. I'm so excited to talk about this today. Let me put up here for you guys in the screen so you can get it. www.nathanbushmba.com/subscribe. SCRIBE. And I'm going to pop that up for you so that you have that, and we can put that in the show notes for you so you can get that later on. So thanks for taking the time today to talk about misconceptions that frighten me that real estate investors have. Let's dive into this. I mean, I have got some good notes. I've done some great prep today for you, and I think that this will be a great show. The picture that you see on the screen is actually, I'm going to pop it up big for you again. The picture you see on the screen is actually a local meetup group, the St. Charles County Real Estate Investors Association. And that's me kind of talking with the Real Estate Investors Association back when we first got started, a little bit about these concepts of misconceptions that people have when it comes to real estate investing. So we're going to walk through some of these misconceptions today. And I want to tell you, the reason I love being in property management is the opportunity to help you, the real estate investor, be able to achieve your goals and your dreams. We work towards the things that you want to do. Oftentimes, I have conversations with real estate investors, and they're so passionate, and they have big dreams and big ideas and big goals. And they think that oftentimes, there is a disconnect when you first start working in a new relationship with somebody. And that disconnect is almost a teamwork issue. I was talking with a team member today on our team, and we were talking about how we used to play volleyball back in the day in high school. I was a volleyball player, and this team member of mine was also a volleyball player in high school. And he said, remember back in volleyball, whenever you had to call the ball? And so whoever called the ball, it was their ball, and they took it and they ran with it. And that team dynamic takes some time to develop. He was saying that he used to coach a little league girls team for one of the local volleyball organizations. And he said, I want you girls sounding like seagulls. Mine, mine. Remember from Finding Nemo? Mine, 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 mine. Well, the same is true about the real estate investment game when you're working with a property manager. Make sure you call the ball. Who's taking which pieces? Who's responsible for what? And your property manager can navigate that conversation with you. You just have to have the conversation with your property manager about who's responsible for what. So let's dive into our topic today that I'd like to talk about, all right? All right, so I want you to reflect on a time where maybe you made a hasty decision based upon appearances alone. What was the outcome? The way something looked. Maybe it was a situation that you were in. Maybe it was a purchasing decision that you were trying to make. It doesn't necessarily need to be about real estate. Just think back to a time where you made a decision based upon the way that things looked. I will tell you, just like our eyes can deceive us in real life, our eyes can deceive us in real estate investing as well. So have you ever been lured by a property that looked too good to be true? I'm assuming if you're in my audience, you have small multifamily real estate already, or you're considering small multifamily real estate already. And so that is a major challenge that I often talk about with real estate investors as we're onboarding some of their properties. And we identify that maybe they made the decision that something looked too good to be true. Remember back in the day, there was a really old show. It's called The Stepford Wives. Sometimes everything can look perfect on the outside, but deep down inside, there's some rot going on. And so we cannot make decisions as real estate investors based upon the way that things look. I see you online. If you're online and you're joining us today, we're talking about misconceptions that frighten me as a property manager that real estate investors might have. If you're online, go ahead and put in the chat here so I know who you are and where you're from. And I'm happy to have the conversation since you've joined in this wonderful conversation about things that frighten me and the misconceptions that frighten me that investors have. All right, so here we go. So Michael Korda, who's a famous editor-in-chief for Simon & Schuster, had this to say. He had this to say: success on any major scale requires you to accept responsibility. In the final analysis, the one quality that successful people have is the ability to take on responsibility. And I'm talking to you, the real estate investor. I'm helping you to understand that these misconceptions, these things that we need to get cleared up, they're an individual responsibility. When we make a mistake, if there's a mistake made, Red Maples, we own up to it. We say, yep, there was a mistake made. We dropped the ball on that. There was an issue. What I'm asking for from the audience's standpoint is, if you're going to invest in real estate, do you take 100% responsibility for the outcomes that you're trying to achieve? It's a good question. What's up, Dennis? I see you online, by the way. Thanks for hopping into the conversation with us. We're talking today about misconceptions that frighten me, that I see that real estate investors have. And so, Dennis, here's the first misconception that real estate investors have. I call it the mirage of the oasis: false hopes and due diligence. Some investors honestly believe, and in my book, Small Multifamily Mastery, I write about misconception number 4, no need to conduct due diligence. No need to conduct due diligence. Sometimes due diligence to real estate investors looks like just looking at pictures online. I don't know about you, but I don't consider that really good due diligence. However, I've dealt with a number of real estate investors who've never walked their property, never seen their property. And then as a property manager, I'm trying to explain to them what's going on, and they think they have it all figured out in their head. Remember back to that situation where we talked about, where we walked into an environment or a situation and we thought based upon what was going on, we knew because of what our eyes saw? Well, the same level of deception can happen as a real estate investor, except for the problem is even worse. Because all you saw were snapshot pictures. You saw somebody's marketing of a potential product, Dennis. You saw somebody's marketing of that online. And then you made a decision without doing any conductive due diligence on that. You didn't go look at the property. You didn't send your own person through it. You didn't have an ASHI certified inspection on that property. And you buy that building and you wonder why that building's not making money. Well, here's the fear. You didn't conduct proper due diligence. It's important to not only understand the images of what somebody wants you to see from marketing, but it's important to understand the market of that property. How old are the houses in the area? When was the last time the home was renovated? Are there any foundational issues that were hidden in the marketing photos? Did you get a seller's disclosure? Oftentimes in real estate investing, we don't get the seller's disclosure. And so that becomes a challenge or a problem for us in order for us to be able to make money off of a property. And so we got to conduct our own due diligence. Did you do the financial research for that property? Did you actually run numbers? And have you invested in real estate before and know what those numbers should look like? If not, maybe it might be wise to reach out to somebody like me who can get you some tools and look through your initial analysis and give you some feedback on that first property that you're looking to buy. All right. Here's another thing. Real world examples of good looking property gone wrong. Okay. So I worked with this investor who bought a property. They happened to live out of state, so they couldn't actually see the property. They happened to buy a property based upon something that somebody told them, and all they saw were the marketing photos of the property. What was interesting to me is the marketing photos were wonderful in that they took beautiful pictures of the inside of the home, except for they forgot that there was a giant hole in the middle of the bedroom that went straight to the basement floor. It went through the floor, and it was probably large enough that if, your kid was, I don't know, 2 or 3 years old. They might have fallen through and gotten stuck in this hole. It was that large in the middle of the bedroom floor. None of the pictures disclosed that information. Somehow they ended up buying this house. They thought that it was only going to take X number of dollars to renovate this home. Could you imagine how much money it costs just to rip up all of the floor, relay proper subfloor so that that home was, technically safe again, and then lay the floor back on top? At least that room was safe again. That's a major problem. That's called the Mirage. That's called a Mirage. They sent you an image and you didn't conduct your own proper due diligence. You didn't send an inspector through that home. You didn't get a termite inspection. You didn't do all of the things. Think about the things that you do if you're going to buy a home for yourself. Yet as an investor, you think you're going to save money by not doing certain parts of your due diligence when you're buying an investment property. In fact, you think about larger investment properties. We're just talking about a one single family home back in the day where they bought it sight unseen and didn't do these inspections. Could you imagine you've got a 20, 30 unit apartment community that you're getting ready to spend millions of dollars on, and you don't conduct proper due diligence and research? You don't actually go into the financials. You don't understand and navigate what's going to be best for that property. These are things that are major challenges. They frighten me from a property manager's perspective that you've invested in real estate. I see that another one of you guys have jumped online. Let's participate in the conversation. I see Dennis says here that it's unwise to start a project without counting the cost. Yes, you're essentially begging yourself to be a slumlord in that instance where you're not counting the whole cost. And so these are things that frighten me. It is Friday the 13th, right? So why not talk about the things that frighten me during the month of October? Oh gosh, there you are. All right, I see you online. If you hopped on, just go ahead and put in the comments who you are and where you're from. I'm happy to include you in the conversation today. Dennis has joined a number of our meetup groups and networking groups that we do here locally. And I think Dennis is looking to get into real estate investing here eventually. All right, let's talk about this one right now. The misconception, I call it misconception number 5, no risk involved. The ghost of investment past, unseen risk. Look, every property carries with it inherent risks. There is no investment that doesn't have risk. Every single investment that you're going to make is going to carry with it some kind of risk. And here's the problem. Just as ghosts are spirits of the past, not acknowledging risks in investing can come back to haunt you, right? Make sure you do the right thing and that you understand that there is risk involved in this situation, and that the uncoverings that you're doing through due diligence, you're able to help offset some of that risk. Here's what I said in a meetup group just the other day. People were talking about it still long after. I've had one of my friends send me a text message after the meetup group. They said, that was a hilarious comment. I said, we all heard the saying, the higher the risk, the higher the what? Yeah. You think reward, but the answer obviously is the higher the likelihood that you're going to fail at something, the higher the risk, the higher that something's going to cost you. And there's a reason that the returns look good on something, that the property costs are lower on something. Likely, if you're doing your due diligence, you're going to find out that there is some type of challenge that's driving the potential ROI on that property, the potential cap rate on that property. There's something that is happening that you are not able to actually achieve those high levels of returns even in a picture perfect scenario, much less the scenario that you would see calculated by potential wholesalers or others online. So don't let those ghosts in the closet, so to say, come back to haunt you and put you in a position where it just doesn't work. Look, too good to be true. Some deals like zombies might appear alive and entice you, but they drain your resources and your energy if you're not careful. We have got to make sure as real estate investors, when we go into a transaction, that we understand that there is risk involved in that transaction. Oftentimes, as a property manager, I find that real estate investors that didn't properly assess the risk want to shift the blame of responsibility from the risky decision that they made, and they want to put it on a property manager. The question I have to ask you is it truly your property manager, Or is it truly the risky decisions that you've made? You have to ask yourself these questions. This is a legitimate heart-to-heart conversation about things that frighten me as a property manager, is that you legitimately believe that there was zero risk and that you're going to make a 23% return on your money. Now, with that said, there are things that a property manager might do that are inaccurate or wrong or that might not be helping you. Number one, do they have a systemized leasing process? Do they have a here's the work that we do and here's the output that we get style system? Here's a checklist for our applications. Here's a checklist for our move-in. Here's how we market the home. Here's what it looks like online. If a home's not leasing, what are you going to do about it? Those are things that you can ask a property manager that can give you answers. If a home's not leasing, ask questions like, have you been in the property in the last 14, 15, 20 days? Have you actually gone and take a look and seen what's going on and what's wrong with it? Ask questions about maybe, is there any upgrades that we can do in that home to get it to lease faster? Or maybe offer them a budget to do some slight staging, or maybe lower the price on your rental investment for the market. Maybe things have shifted at that time. And yes, your property manager can make those recommendations. And some of you have authorized your property manager to do those things. But I've got to ask you the question, do you just believe that you're supposed to be getting a 25% return on your money and not have any risk involved? In my book, Small Multifamily Mastery, I talk about penny stock property. So many people have lost fortunes in penny stock. Don't be one of those people that lose money in real estate because you honestly believe that there's no risk involved. All right. Let's talk about misconception number 6, the easy to find good deals. Look, the endless labyrinth never stops. What's a labyrinth? It's a maze, right? The maze never stops of trying to find and orchestrate the right deal. I know a lot of people who think that they're going to get into real estate investing. And here's what Bigger Pockets says. Bigger Pockets, I was reading on one of their blogs before the show, and they were telling me 95% of real estate investors are going to fail, mostly due to the fact that they never actually take action on a transaction. And while I want you to be a real estate investor, because as a real estate investor, specifically in St. Louis, we want to manage your property for you. But we only want to manage it for you if we're going to be able to work in a mutually beneficial relationship. And so finding the right deal, finding the right course of action in order to get to where you have a good transaction in St. Louis can actually be challenging. Much like the endless corridors of a maze or a haunted house, look, guys, if you believe that deals are going to be easy to find, it might lead to a never-ending search and frustration and disappointment. There might not be a good deal for you to take action on. You might have to look at maybe a lesser cap rate, or you might have to look at maybe a lower return on your money. If the market is performing at average, the stock market performs at average between 6 to 8%, somewhere around there. If the stock market performs at 6 to 8%, and the real estate market pretty consistently from historic has outperformed that as far as returns go, what makes you think that 25, 26, 27, 30, 40% on your money is a legitimate deal to search for? If you could get 8 to 10, 12% on your money, isn't that good? If you're looking at it comparing to other investment alternatives, look at the benefits of depreciation. Look at the benefits of writing off expenses, of being a business owner. Look, Inc. magazine says between 50 and 96% of businesses are going to fail. 96% of businesses are going to fail within 10 years. I had one investor that came to St. Louis a number of years ago, and he bought 24 properties here locally. He had a reasonable portfolio, but never did an assessment on what he liked and what he didn't like and where he's getting his returns and where he wasn't getting his returns. And he eventually got frustrated because he wasn't making much money and sold the whole thing off. In fact, he sold it all off at a fire sale in a discount, and other investors ended up benefiting from his lack of understanding these misconceptions. Don't be like that investor. do your due diligence, understand there's risks involved, and know that there's no perfect deal out there, guys. There's not any home run deals. You might come across those things every once in a blue moon, or orange moon for that matter, for the likelihood of Halloween and Friday the 13th. But these things frighten me. If you believe that you're just going to easily find good deals in St. Louis and you're buying stuff thinking you're going to get 20 and 30 and 40% returns just because you had some extra cash laying around, look, I'd love to believe that for you as well. It's just not the likelihood of what's going to happen. Changing markets can quickly change and be unpredictable. Just as you can never be sure of the true form of a shapeshifter, relying on a stagnant market can lead to fearful surprises, guys. This market in St. Louis shapeshifts. It changes from time to time. And so don't get caught. Don't get caught. Have consistent, persistent, systematized approach to the type of deal you make, to the type of tenant that we lease to the type of application process that you go through, to the type of move-in process that you utilize, to how you do your maintenance, to how you exit a property. Have systems in place that can produce the result that you're looking for. And if you don't have systems in place, look, that's why there's partners out there. That's why there's people out there who have been doing stuff like property management for 15, 20 years in the St. Louis market that can help you navigate these misconceptions. All right. So I appreciate you taking time to go through the frightening misconceptions that real estate investors have when they come into some of the St. Louis market and things I've seen as a property manager. If you'd like to get more content like this and stay connected, I highly recommend, again, you go to nathanbushmba.com/subscribe, and that will get you into my email so that I can make sure you get the email whenever a new show comes up, or whenever we have a new offer, or a new something that I want to share with you. Maybe if there's a new course, or when I finally roll out my book, Small Multifamily Mastery, you can be notified it. So if you want to stay connected with me, you want to know what's going on, you want to know what events I'm attending, where I'm going, go to nathanbushmba.com/subscribe, and you can be a part of the Mind Renovation Nation. All right, guys, one last thing I'd like to share with you before I close up here. Your vision, our mission. Imagine the relief and success when your investments are guided by expertise. When you come to talk to us at Red Maples, I want you to understand, if you're going to utilize a third-party management service, we have your vision in mind. We want to help you achieve your goals. Ultimately, on the flip side of it, we want to make sure you understand that you're being guided by our expertise, our mission, our way of doing things, so we can make sure that you stay protected and we help you achieve the goals that you actually have. This is a partnership. This is a partnered relationship. And so we want to help you navigate some of these misconceptions that maybe you have gone into your real estate with and just didn't know, and that's okay. And so I have to ask you, like I do each and every show, who do you know that I need to speak to? Whether it's a real estate investor, real estate investment group, do you know an organization, a club that I need to come talk to? Who needs to hear this message? If you'll share this show online, that'll be fantastic. Also, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like this content. Please also share this content with real estate investors that you know. Make sure that people do the proper things before they buy their investment, so that when they buy their investment, they're set up for success. And that's what I'd like to say to you today. You guys have a good afternoon. Thanks for joining me on my show on Mind Renovation Nation. Thanks for joining me, Dennis. I appreciate you being a part of the conversation today. You guys have a good afternoon.